Here's the thing about winning. Most people think it's the best feeling in the world. Holding that #1 plate is supposed to fix everything. But for Ryan Villopoto, winning wasn't always a celebration. Sometimes it was just relief. Relief that he didn't mess up. Relief that the check would clear. Relief that he could finally go home. Look at the stats and you see dominance. 4 straight Supercross titles, something only the king, Jeremy McGrath, had ever done before. A rider who walked away at just 26 years old, right in his prime, leaving millions on the table. So why? Why would someone walk away from being the best rider on the planet? To understand that, you have to understand where Ryan Villopoto came from. He didn't stumble into greatness. He was shaped by the rain and the mud of the Pacific Northwest, under a level of pressure most kids never experience. This isn't just a story about dirt bikes. It's about family, burnout, and finding your way back to the thing you love after it nearly destroys you. Ryan wasn't born into a factory ride. He was born into a working-class family in Paulsbo, Washington. His dad, Dan, was a home builder who poured every dime he made into Ryan's racing. Dan estimated the cost of raising a pro motocross champion was over $500,000. Dan Villopoto was intense. He liquidated his construction business and sold the family house for dirt cheap just to keep the wheels turning. He told Ryan, "We are all in, or we're quitting." During Ryan's 80cc days, things got scary. Dan's kidneys started to fail. The doctors told him he needed dialysis immediately or he would be dead in a week. Most people would stop. Dan Villopoto asked for a list of dialysis centers on the road. He said quitting was never an option. Ryan is a kid, lining up at the gate, knowing his dad is hooked up to a machine somewhere in a strip mall in Oklahoma just so he can be there. That's a heavy backpack to wear when you're trying to hit a hole shot. But it worked. It worked because Ryan had a rival, Mike Alessi. If you followed amateur racing in the early 2000s, you know Mike Alessi was the guy. He was the chosen one. He won everything. Ryan, he was the other guy. Ryan spent his entire amateur career chasing Alessi's rear fender. He lost constantly.
Villopoto on the number 51 Kawasaki running in second position behind leader Mike Alessi.
Alessi's impressive. You know, he doesn't ever push above and beyond what he's got to do.
Alessi beat him straight up most of the time. But losing teaches you something winning never can. Losing hardens you. It sharpens every part of your game. Dan Villopoto would tell Ryan, "Try harder, put more effort into it." It was a grind that never ended. But in 2002 at Loretta Lynn's, something clicked. Ryan started catching him. He started realizing he could run the pace. His dad saw it too. He said, in his head, he knows he can beat Mike now. By 2005, the hard work paid off. Ryan signed with Pro Circuit Kawasaki. This was the big leagues, Mitch Payton's team. The same team that built Ricky Carmichael and Jeremy McGrath. When you ride for Mitch, you don't just ride. You win, or you find a new job.
He's been a huge influence on my career and even today, now that I'm retired, been retired for a few years.
Ryan turned pro at the end of the 2005 outdoor season. He showed up at Binghamton, New York and went 14-16. Not exactly setting the world on fire, but a week later at Steel City, he finished 5th overall. Then at Glen Helen, the final round, he took 2nd place. The paddock took notice. The red-headed kid from Washington was for real. 2006 came around, his rookie Supercross season. He won his first race in Irving and finished 3rd in the West Coast Championship. Solid. But the outdoors is where Ryan truly unleashed the beast. He won the 2006 Motocross Lights Championship in his rookie year. He beat the guys he'd been chasing. He was the Rookie of the Year. Then came 2007. This was the year Ryan Villopoto stopped being a prospect and started being a legend. He won the West Coast Supercross title. He dominated the Outdoor Nationals again. But the crowning moment, the moment that is still etched in the brain of every motocross fan, happened in September at Budds Creek, Maryland. The Motocross of Nations. This is the Olympics of dirt bike racing. Team USA versus the world. Ryan was on the team with Ricky Carmichael and Tim Ferry. It was Ricky's last professional race. The hype was insane. Ryan was on the 250F. He was racing against the best riders in the world, many of them on 450s. He shouldn't have won. Physics says the big bike should eat him alive on the hills. But that day, Ryan was in the Matrix. He didn't just win his class, he won the whole thing. He went 1-1 in his motos. He beat the 450s. He beat the world champions. He was the first rider in history to win the overall on a 250. He looked untouchable. And from that moment on, winning stopped being freedom. It became expectation. Success brings money. Ryan was making six figures at 17 years old. His first contract was $225,000 base salary. Add in race win bonuses, $50,000 for a main event win, and the kid was rich. Money changes things. It changes families. Ryan wanted independence. He was growing up. He had a girlfriend, Kristen, who would later become his wife. He wanted to make his own decisions, but his parents had sacrificed everything for this. They'd invested their entire lives into his career. They felt they were partners in business. His dad saw it as a family business. If he built a construction company and brought his son in, they would be partners. He didn't see why racing was any different. But Ryan saw it differently. He was the one taking the risks. He was the one risking his neck on the track every weekend. Tension built up. Arguments happened. It got ugly. In 2008, it all boiled over. Ryan was at Glen Helen practicing. He pulled off the track, rode up to his dad, and fired him. He told him, "You're going to go home. I'll still pay you, but you're going to go home. I'm going to do it on my own." Can you imagine that conversation after all those years, after the dialysis, after the miles in the motorhome? It was brutal. Ryan admits it was hard to swallow. He cut ties with his mom, too. He sent his sister back to Washington. He didn't talk to his dad for almost a year. This is the dark side of the sport people don't see on TV. They see the trophies, they don't see the shattered relationships. Ryan was now on his own. He was the man. But the transition to the 450 class, the premier class, was waiting. And the 450 class doesn't care about your drama. It'll chew you up if you're not ready. 2009, rookie year on the big bike. It started rough. At the opener in Anaheim, he finished 5th. He struggled with the bike setup. He struggled with fitness. He caught mono and missed 3 races. He eventually found his footing and won 2 races late in the season, but he finished 6th in the points. For a guy used to winning everything, 6th place felt like losing. Then came 2010. Ryan came out swinging. He won 7 races. He was battling Ryan Dungey for the title. He was closing the points gap. Round 14, St. Louis. Ryan needed to make a move. He was chasing Dungey. He got aggressive. He cut inside, they tangled, and Ryan went down. He got up quick, adrenaline pumping. He was angry. He wanted to catch back up. He hit a triple jump, but something went wrong. He came up short. He leapt from the bike in midair. He hit the ground hard. His bike cartwheeled and smashed into him. It was a catastrophe. His right leg was shattered, tibia and fibula broken, ankle destroyed. He was lying on the track and he knew it was bad. Medical workers had to cut his boot off.
Broke tib, fib, and then both of the ankle bones too, on like that are on the outside, inside and outside of your foot. And I can remember afterwards, I even crashed on that same jump, punctured both lungs. As I'm laying there with my lower leg fucking all sideways.
He was carried off on a stretcher. Later in the hospital, he found out he had also punctured both lungs. He was a mess. This was the moment that could have ended his career. People were whispering, "He's done. He'll never be the same." That injury is a career ender. Ryan spent months in bed. He withered away. He lost muscle. He sat on the couch and watched the outdoor season go by without him. But Ryan Villopoto is his father's son, and he'd rather die than quit. While he was recovering, a phone call changed everything. Alden Baker. Alden is the legendary trainer who turned Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart into machines. He was available. Ryan met him at the Palo Raceway. He was still on crutches. Alden looked at him and saw a broken rider. He was worried. He didn't know if Ryan's ankle would ever have the motion needed to race again. He took Ryan to a specialist to get checked out. The doctor said it was possible. Alden looked Ryan in the eyes and said, "I think we can be ready." That was the turning point. Ryan hired Alden. It cost him $350,000 a year plus a $50,000 championship bonus, a huge investment. But Ryan did the math. A race win pays $100,000. If he won 3 races, trainer was paid for.
Winning 4 championships in a row, like I did, MC, Ricky, Dunge, all those guys going back to back. That's the really hard part.
The boot camp began. It was hell. Ryan had to lose weight. He went from 178 pounds down to 148 pounds by Anaheim 1. No beer, no French fries, no late night snacks. Up at 7:30 a.m. Road, bike ride, gym, track. Repeat. Ryan hated training. He wasn't the guy who loved the gym, he dreaded it. But he loved winning more than he hated the work.
You know, everything that I ever did with Eldon was it tough? Yeah, it was tough, but what isn't in life?
It's supposed to be tough.
2011 season opener, Anaheim. Nobody knew what to expect. Ryan had been off the bike for months. His leg was full of metal, 5 plates, and 47 screws. The gate dropped. Ryan Villopoto didn't just ride, he flew. He won the race. He silenced every doubter in 20 minutes plus 1 lap. That 2011 season was a war. It was Ryan Villopoto versus Chad Reed versus Ryan Dungey versus James Stewart. 4 of the greatest riders of all time, all healthy, all hungry.
I also think I got Chad at his second wave of second prime.
Ryan won 6 races that year. It came down to the wire in Las Vegas. He edged out Chad Reed by 4 points to win his first 450 Supercross championship. He had done it. He was the champion. But he wasn't done. He went outdoors and won the 2011 Motocross Championship too, battling Dungey all summer. Then came the Monster Energy Cup. This was a new race, a one-night event, 3 main events. If you win all 3, you win $1 million. It sounds impossible. The starts in motocross are chaotic. Winning 3 times in a row across the best in the world is like winning the lottery. Ryan won the first moto. He won the second moto. He lined up for the third moto. The tension was thick, $1 million on the line. He grabbed the whole shot. He checked out. He crossed the finish line and became the first rider ever to win the Monster Million.
Won all 3! He is the Monster Energy Cup inaugural winner, and he's a millionaire!
In 1 year, he had come back from a shattered leg to win the Supercross title, the Motocross title, the Motocross of Nations again, and the Monster Million. It was the greatest single season in the history of the sport. Ryan didn't manage races, he attacked them. Every lap, every corner, full commitment. He was on top of the world. He was a millionaire many times over. But the grind was starting to wear on him. You see, for Ryan, winning came with a weight, a responsibility that never let him breathe. He felt that if he didn't win, the whole team lost. He carried the weight of the mechanics, the sponsors, the truck drivers on his shoulders. And he was still estranged from his family. He was winning everything, but he was doing it alone. No mom and dad in the pits, just him and his wife Kristen and his trainer Alden. Ryan came in as the defending champ. He was even better than before. He won 9 out of 16 rounds. He clinched the championship early with 4 rounds still to go. That never happens. Usually it goes down to Vegas. Ryan was so dominant, he wrapped it up in Houston. He was the back-to-back champion. But the sport of motocross is cruel. It gives you glory, and then it takes your knees. At his home race in Seattle, after he'd already clinched the title, tragedy struck again. He dragged his leg in a corner. It stuck. His knee popped. It wasn't the first time his knee had failed him. ACL tear. Again.
Coming off the injury back in Seattle, I hear you've been ripping it. I hear it's like you haven't lost a step. How's the knee?
Yeah, knee's good. You know, it's what they can do these days and get you back out on the track or get you back out walking or whatever you do. It's fairly quick these days, so that's always good. And
this was his 3rd major injury in 4 years. He missed the entire 2012 outdoor season. Recovery forced him to slow down in a way he'd never had before. Ryan had time to think. He realized that holding on to anger was poison. He hadn't spoken to his dad in almost 2 years. He picked up the phone. He invited his parents to come stay with him in Florida. He brought his dad back into the fold. He let him come to the practice track. Dan Villopoto saw his son ride for the first time in years. He saw the focus. He saw the speed. He was proud. Rebuilding that relationship was bigger than any trophy. Ryan said later that having his family back made the heavy lifting easier. 2013, the return. Ryan was chasing history now. Only 3 men had ever won 3 Supercross titles in a row. Bob Hanna, Jeremy McGrath, and Ricky Carmichael. Ryan wanted to be the 4th. He started slow, finishing 16th at the opener after a crash. People started whispering again. Is he done? Is the knee okay? Ryan answered by winning 10 races that season.
Ryan Villopoto, he did something you've never done before. 10 wins in a season.
yeah, it's awesome. It's a great way to cap the season off. Supercross, anyways. To get a win here is definitely pretty special, and being that it's the 10th one of the season, that's pretty awesome.
He crushed the field. He won the championship by a mile, three-peat. He went outdoors and won that title too. He was operating on a level no one else could reach. But inside the helmet, the fire was starting to flicker. He told a reporter, "Do I love it? Yeah, I do love it. But this isn't everything to me. I'll walk away." Winning had stopped feeling like an accomplishment. He said later, "If I wasn't hurt, I won every championship I ever entered. That started eating at me. When are you going to lose?" Every weekend felt like a test he wasn't allowed to fail, because he never learned how to race without carrying the entire operation on his shoulders. 2014, the final stand. Ryan lined up for one reason, to match the king. Jeremy McGrath was the only rider to win 4 straight Supercross titles. Ryan wanted that record. It was a grind. He didn't dominate like before, winning 7 races instead of 10. But he was smart. He managed the points. He rode with a maturity that frustrated his rivals. He clinched the title in New Jersey 1 round early, 4 in a row. He stood on the podium, holding up 4 fingers. He'd done it. He climbed the highest mountain in the sport. And in that moment, he knew he was done. He didn't want to defend it. He didn't want to go for 5. He wanted out. But there was a catch. Ryan still had a contract with Kawasaki. He had sponsors like Monster Energy who had paid him a lot of money. They didn't want him to just quit. So, a plan was hatched. A crazy plan. Ryan Villopoto would leave America. He'd go to Europe. He would race the MXGP World Championship. No American champion in their prime had ever done this. It was unheard of.
That's good for me because I was looking for something different.
Usually, riders go to Europe when they're washed up looking for a paycheck. Ryan was the best rider in the world. The hype was massive. The Americans thought he would go over there and crush the Europeans. Europeans thought their tracks and their style would baffle him. It was the ultimate showdown. But from the start, it felt off. Ryan wasn't excited. He admitted later, "I was mentally kind of already gone. The train had already left the station." He went because of the contract. He went because he didn't want to burn bridges. The reality of MXGP hit him hard. The tracks were different, slower, tighter. The lifestyle was different. He felt like a fish out of water.
To be honest, it's not even remotely the same. It's so different. The people are different. The fans are insane. It is a more relaxed atmosphere at the races.
Round 1 in Qatar, the bike stalled. He struggled. He finished 7th overall. The internet exploded. See, he can't hang. Round 2 in Thailand, Ryan got mad. He went 1-1. He dominated. He showed the world that he was still Ryan Villopoto. Then came Trentino, Italy. The track was rocky, slippery, weird. In the second moto, Ryan hit the gas. His bike gripped up unexpectedly. He looped out. It wasn't a spectacular crash. It looked kind of silly. He just fell off the back. But he landed right on his tailbone. He broke it in multiple places. He sat on the side of the track in pain, and he realized, this is it. The doctors in Europe told him they could operate. They said, "We can just take the end piece out, cut a hole, slide it out." Ryan called Alden Baker. He said, "Have you ever heard of this?" Alden said, "No way." Ryan decided to leave it in. He decided to leave the sport. On July 9th, 2015, Ryan Villopoto announced his retirement. He was 26 years old. He had 4 Supercross titles, 2 Motocross titles, 3 Lights titles, 83 total AMA wins. He walked away, leaving a stunned world behind. No farewell tour, no final bow. At 26, Ryan Villopoto simply went home.
In my opinion, the best decision was to either move on or go find something else to do. A lot of people say that, or some people think that I have a lot to lose when I go over there.
For the first time in his life, his schedule was blank. He woke when he wanted. He tried to be normal, but normal felt strange after a lifetime as a gladiator. Then in 2018, his father Dan passed away from a heart attack. It was a brutal blow. They'd reconciled, and Dan was helping him with his bikes again. "I could use the help," Ryan said later. He'd be stoked to do it with the kids. The loss made him reflect. He understood his dad's relentless push for the first time. That pressure, he now saw, was the fuel that built a champion. Today, at 37, Ryan is a moto dad.
Now I'm the dad, trying to learn all the dad's position and get every little edge you can here and there, and then they have to learn from a racer's perspective.
He works with Yamaha, hosts a podcast, and has rediscovered the joy of riding without the crushing weight of expectation. The man once seen as a stoic champion is now the guy telling stories and laughing with fans. He looks at his life, his family, his freedom, and knows it was paid for by every grueling lap, every sacrifice. He has no regrets. He walked away on his own terms and finally found peace. Ryan Villopoto didn't just know when to push, he knew when to walk away. And that's the legend of RV2. So let me ask you this. Did Ryan Villopoto walk away too early? Or did he walk away at exactly the right time? Drop your take in the comments. And if this story hit you, there's another one waiting. About what happens when talent, pressure, and identity collide at the highest level. Thanks for watching, and stay wicked.